Now, you might have heard of a lose-lose trade, but have you ever heard of a lose-lose-lose trade? We're about to break it down. Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today we're going to be talking about quickly a trade that is becoming one of the worst in NHL history. A trade that happened just a year ago and is quickly becoming infamous with every single team involved. But what was this trade and how does it look 1 year later? Watch till the end for all the details and all the discussion, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new. 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you like hockey content, this channel is the place to be. Now, of course, I am talking about the Ryan Ellis trade, a trade that happened just a year ago on July 2021, and a trade that at the time looked pretty good, involving the Flyers, involving the Predators, and involving the Vegas Golden Knights, but a trade that, again, just a year later, is looking about as bad as you could possibly have hoped. Now, there were technically two trades on July 17th, 2021, but really it was a three-team trade and a three-team effort in this whole deal. As for the first trade, though, the Nashville Predators would end up giving Ryan Ellis to the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for Nolan Patrick and Felipe Myers. A humongous deal. And at the time, considering Ellis's prestige, I thought the Flyers got away amazingly with this deal, especially considering that Nolan Patrick likely wasn't going to fit with that roster for too much longer, and Felipe Myers was a solid defensive prospect, but nothing amazing that they needed to have. And considering the Preds needed that cap space, you could see where they were coming from there. But I thought the Flyers were going to do amazing in this deal with just the pure value they brought up and were able to give away for a player to Ellis's magnitude. But of course, the Nashville Predators weren't done. They ended up striking a deal with the Vegas Golden Knights to exchange of Nolan Patrick going to Vegas for Cody Glass, who had been a big-time prospect for the Knights for a long time, but was also starting to stagnate a little bit in the Golden Knights system. So you could assume that the Golden Knights were able to give him up pretty easily, but the Preds in this whole deal would end up getting Cody Glass and Felipe Myers for Ryan Ellis, while the Golden Knights ended up giving Cody Glass for Nolan Patrick. So a lot of players with new destinations and new areas, and I thought for most of these guys, it was a good change for them, especially players like Nolan Patrick, Cody Glass, even Ryan Ellis a little bit, to be able to have an opportunity to take charge of that Flyers defense. I thought at the time, it could pretty easily have been a win-win-win trade, but it's been the exact opposite. Now let's go through every single asset, every single player exchanged in this deal to truly show you guys how bad these trades were for every single player. Every single one. Now let's start off with Ryan Ellis, the big piece in these two deals, and the big piece that of course went from Nashville to Philadelphia. This was such a weird situation because with Ellis, he was still, for the most part, in his prime, even though there had been a little bit of a decline in production, but he was still one of the better offensive defensemen in the league, and I thought for the Flyers, even though he's not a true fix to that defense, he would have gotten some amazing playing time and really improved that Flyers defense in a lot of different areas. As you can see, 31 years old, and when you look at the cap hit, he makes $6.25 million for the next 5 seasons. Philadelphia is just world class, ladies and gentlemen. But you see, over the last couple of seasons in his years with Nashville, in 2020, he got 38 points in 49 games. And then in 2021, a little bit of a dip, 18 points in 35 games, but 5 points in 6 playoff games was really solid there. And started the season off with Philadelphia, played 4 games, got 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points, looked really well. And then, of course, the injuries came, and the injury throughout the rest of the season continued to persist. And he would only play 4 games for the Flyers as the cornerstone piece of really their offseason. That was their big addition, and considering it, it makes a lot of sense how bad Philadelphia was and how tragic this deal looks for them. Now, it was later confirmed right after the season ending that Ryan Ellis had a pelvic injury, which he re-injured after coming back in November, which makes a lot of sense since there really is less of a timetable there for those type of injuries and less confirmation on when you'll be back. And especially in Ryan Ellis's case, the fact that he is 31 and getting older, it makes a lot of sense that he missed this last season, and now with recent reports, will miss a lot more time too. You had this tweet from Frank Scarelli giving us some clarification on his health. Following Couturier's news, Flyers are not expected to report any progress with defenseman Ryan Ellis when camp opens. He will not be ready to start the season, and right now there is no hint of a timeline for him to return. So again, it seems like that pelvic injury is still nagging on him and still taking him from returning to Philadelphia. And the thing is, again, with the age and everything combined, it could be a lot longer. It could be maybe even another season where Ryan Ellis isn't able to suit up for the Flyers. And considering, again, how much they were banking on him saving that defense and how much cap he has to his name, it's just a disastrous situation on top of what seems like millions for Philly right now. And so far, especially the Ryan Ellis side of this deal has been an absolute bust in every single way. And they obviously had to go out and get like a Tony DeAngelo to even replace that type of offensive level. And it's just made this entire Flyers team way different than what it should have been. And again, considering how much pressure was on Ellis to truly perform, to have these injuries and to have that persistent injury, it just spells dark news for his time with Philadelphia and his future there too. But Ryan Ellis wouldn't be the only player that had just so much misfortune since the trade. The next one would also be Nolan Patrick, who at age 24 has been struggling to get back to his career and get healthy, but it just continues to be disastrous for him now with the Vegas Golden Knights. And of course, the former second overall pick with the Flyers. It's truly been one of those cases where injuries have completely plagued this player from even being effective when he has been on the ice. But you see, of course, he was traded from Philadelphia, and this was looked at as a massive opportunity for Patrick to truly turn the tide, truly get his career back on track, and get a lot more health, get away from the Flyers trainers, whatever was going on there, and get in a new situation to truly thrive. And you see in his last season with Philly, he played 52 games, got 9 points, wasn't good whatsoever. And with Vegas, he only played 25 games in his first year with the Knights, getting 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points, was okay, was better than he was in 2021, but it wasn't really saying too much. He wasn't really all that effective of a player and wasn't consistent at all either. And you can obviously judge with some of the injuries there that could definitely be playing him and definitely be affecting his play for sure. But still, in the end, it was not the resurgence that the Knights or Patrick wanted. But this is the problem. Nolan Patrick just turned 24 and is supposed to be in the prime of his career. But again, those health issues and everything that's plagued him has continued on with Vegas. And it's continued to be the biggest problem. And you see this tweet by James Basco. Former Flyer Nolan Patrick is unlikely to play this season per Elliotte Friedman. It's really unfortunate he can't catch a break. He's very talented. Prayers and thoughts for Patrick and his family. So from Elliotte Friedman, I'm assuming from this last 32 thoughts, confirming that Nolan Patrick is unlikely to play this next year, and there's more reports corroborating the same thing, and it's just so unfortunate to see, again, those injuries continuing to just nail his career down. He can never get consistency, he can never get back and fully to the pace of the NHL level, which was maybe the biggest problem for him in the first place before the injuries, and to see these injuries continue to plague him, it's obvious that for the Vegas Golden Knights, it was not the trade they wanted to make in the end, and definitely has not worked out so far. Now, going back to the Ryan Ellis deal, one of the pieces alongside Nolan Patrick that went to the Preds was Felipe Myers, a younger defenseman, and at now age 25. You see in his first season with Nashville, it was a season, to put it lightly, I guess. 27 games with the Preds, got 4 points, was okay at best, and eventually went to the Marlies on a loan, 16 games played and 7 points, but he would eventually be a part of the Ryan McDonagh trade, actually. So he was traded to Tampa along with Grant Mishmash for Ryan McDonagh, and I guess is the corner piece of that trade going to Tampa Bay, and will be a part of a Lightning defense that is wanting to be as young and quick as possible. So I would say for Myers, if there's any time for him to break out, it's now in Tampa Bay, and I guess in some ways it was good for Nashville to acquire him because they got the McDonagh deal, but at the same time, Myers' time in Nashville wasn't all too eventful either. And then we go on to the last player involved in this deal with a player that's probably having the most amount of potential, I guess, to still prove to be something in Cody Glass, who of course was a part of the trade where Nashville sent Nolan Patrick to Vegas. In exchange, they got Cody Glass in there, and of course the former 6th overall pick in 2017. A lot of 2017 picks being involved. At age 23, 6'3", he's another player that has yet to really burst out into the NHL and truly get there. But you see in his last year with Vegas, he got 10 points in 27 NHL games, and I thought for sure he was going to be a mainstay with the Preds offense, maybe on that third line, getting opportunity. Nothing amazing, but I think getting around maybe 20, 25 points and doing solid in his first full season in the NHL. But he would only play 8 regular season games, 2 playoff games, only 10 games in total with the Preds in his first year, and would mostly be in the AHL, where he did amazingly for sure, getting 62 points in 66 games, but also not getting to that NHL level yet and being a true mainstay, which, considering his age at 23, it isn't the worst thing in the world per se, but it's also not ideal. And considering Cody Glass's talents and the amount of potential he has still, in my opinion, it was definitely disappointing to see. But if he is with the NHL roster this next year, I could see him really turning a page. But considering the Preds' depth, it'll still be a hard test to get there. And so far, even Cody Glass hasn't had the resurgence that he and the Preds probably wanted. And you look at these two trades, and pretty much everything about them has not gone to plan for any team involved. I would say the team that maybe got off the best here is Nashville, funnily enough. Maybe getting, of course, the Ryan McDonagh deal because of it, and also Cody Glass still having the potential, in my opinion, to turn into something. But again, it's all about how Ryan McDonagh does and how Cody Glass does with the Preds this next year. But considering Ryan Ellis' health, considering Felipe Myers' irrelevant stay in Nashville, and considering how injury-riddled Nolan Patrick has continued to be with Vegas, especially for Philadelphia and Vegas, they got out rough with this trades, just absolutely horribly. The Preds, the jury is still out, but honestly right now I still take it as a loss for them, considering what they were trying to achieve with the deal. And I just look back at it now. It is unbelievable to see a trade just a year ahead of time already look so bad. But the Flyers, Preds, and Golden Knights have done the impossible. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think of the Ryan Ellis trades, going back on it and looking back on it? And which team do you think won and maybe lost this trade the most? I would say for the biggest loser, it's probably the Philadelphia Flyers. As for the Preds, maybe they're the biggest winner, but even then, I don't really want to quantify them as a winner. It's complicated, but let us know your thoughts down below. And of course, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Share this video with your friends, get the trade talk out there, and of course, click this card for all my hockey rankings content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.